Imagine a world where the stars have gone out, not in the sky, but in our souls, where the compass that once pointed to meaning, morality, and truth suddenly breaks. This isn't science fiction. This is the reality philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche warned us about when he said, "God is dead." Nietzsche wasn't suggesting that a literal God was killed in any physical or tangible sense. Instead, he was articulating a profound diagnosis of a crisis that unfolded gradually over time, yet ultimately transformed the very fabric of society and human understanding. This crisis was not immediate. It was the result of a slow but inexorable shift in the cultural landscape. As scientific advancement gained momentum, its methodologies and discoveries began to shed light on previously unexplainable phenomena, challenging long-held beliefs and traditions. The triumph of reason over superstition marked a pivotal turning point in human thought. With each triumph of rationality, voices of doubt grew more pronounced, overshadowing traditional beliefs and forcing humanity to confront uncomfortable questions about existence, morality, and purpose. As a consequence, the old systems of faith and meaning, those structures that had provided comfort, identity, and community for countless generations, started to crumble under the weight of this new enlightenment. The narratives that once held societies together began to lose their power, leading to a profound existential emptiness that left many searching for answers in a world that no longer offered them. Nietzsche's proclamation, therefore, was a recognition that humanity was in the midst of a significant philosophical and spiritual upheaval that would redefine its relationship with the divine, with morality, and ultimately with itself. The loss was not merely the absence of a god, but rather the unraveling of a cohesive framework through which life had been understood, leading to an era marked by uncertainty and the quest for new meanings. The Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution, and Darwin's theory of evolution represent pivotal chapters in the narrative of human progress. However, these monumental shifts were far more than mere historical milestones. They fundamentally challenged and altered the very foundations of faith and the traditional beliefs that had governed society for centuries. As reason and empirical evidence became the cornerstones of knowledge, the unquestioned authority of religious dogma began to wane, leading to profound changes in how individuals perceived their place in the universe. For Nietzsche, a philosopher who delved deeply into the implications of these transformations, this development did not signal a victory for the advancement of human thought. Rather, it served as a stark warning. The death of God, as he famously articulated, heralded a crisis of values. With the divine removed from our belief systems, humanity found itself at a crossroads, grappling with the unsettling question: if there was no higher power to provide moral guidance, purpose, or meaning, what then would steer our decisions and actions? As the certainties of faith crumbled, Nietzsche recognized that individuals were faced with an existential void. In the absence of a divine moral compass, how would we as a society cultivate ethics, establish meaning, and define our existence? This unforeseen vacuum could lead to a dangerous nihilism, a belief in nothingness, which posed a threat not only to personal identity but also to societal cohesion. Therefore, Nietzsche urged a re-examination of values and an invitation to create new frameworks for understanding our existence, urging humanity to take on the responsibility of crafting its own destiny. This call to action was not merely philosophical speculation. It was a profound challenge to confront the realities of a world where the guiding light of faith had dimmed. In a world where nothing is absolute, where morals aren't divine but rather the intricate constructs of human civilization, we find ourselves navigating an unpredictable landscape. This raises profound questions about what happens next in our ongoing quest for understanding and significance. Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher ahead of his time, grappled with this very issue and articulated his fears about nihilism, the pervasive belief that life lacks inherent meaning and purpose. He envisioned a future in which individuals, stripped of the comforting narratives and certainties once provided by religion and tradition, would confront a daunting void. This void, as Nietzsche perceived it, is not merely an absence of meaning, but rather a profound moral vacuum. a space that echoes with uncertainty and is saturated with chaos. As we stand at the precipice of this existential abyss, we must ask ourselves, how do we forge a path in a reality that feels increasingly devoid of objective truths? The absence of absolute morals and unshakable truths can lead to both liberation and disorientation. On one hand, it opens the door to a myriad of interpretations and personal truths, allowing individuals to construct their own values and meaning. On the other hand, this freedom can be paralyzing, as the chaos of conflicting beliefs and ethical systems threatens to consume us. In this landscape, we must confront the implications of our choices and actions without the comforting guidance of a universal moral compass. How do we hold ourselves accountable in a world where right and wrong are defined by individual or collective consensus rather than by transcendent principles? The fear of falling into an abyss of despair may compel us to cling to constructs that provide a fleeting sense of stability, even if those constructs are illusory. Ultimately, Nietzsche's exploration of nihilism calls us to examine our own beliefs and the structures we've created to navigate life. As the ground shifts beneath our feet, we are invited to engage with the chaos, to rethink our relationships with meaning, morality, and existence itself. In embracing this uncertainty, we might discover new pathways towards a more authentic understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. Even if those pathways are fraught with ambiguity, the question remains, can we construct meaning in a world seemingly indifferent to our struggles, or will we succumb to the very nihilism Nietzsche feared, drifting aimlessly in the moral void? Friedrich Nietzsche famously proclaimed, "We have killed him, you and I." This powerful statement serves as a profound reflection on the state of belief within contemporary society. It implies that through our actions, thoughts, and collective choices, we have allowed the concept of a higher power or traditional values to fade into obscurity. It suggests a kind of complicity, indicating that both individuals and society as a whole have played a role in the demise of faith and the moral certainties that often accompany it. However, Nietzsche was far from resigned to despair over this loss. Instead, he viewed it as an opportunity, a pivotal moment that issued a bold and transformative challenge to humanity. He urged us to rise beyond the limitations of conventional thinking, to navigate the chasm left by this death of God, not with nihilism or hopelessness, but with the courage to redefine ourselves and create our own values. In essence, Nietzsche envisioned a future where we do not merely cling to inherited beliefs, but actively engage in the process of becoming something greater, something more profound than what society has dictated we should be. This call to self-overcoming beckons us to harness our creativity, our will to power, and our capacity for profound change, propelling us toward an existence rich with meaning that we forge for ourselves. Out of the ashes of the old, a transformative vision emerged, as Friedrich Nietzsche passionately proclaimed the need for the birth of the Übermensch, the Superman. This concept, however, should not be misconstrued as a mere comic book hero adorned in flashy spandex or bestowed with fantastical powers. Rather, Nietzsche's Übermensch represents a profound evolution of humanity, heralding the dawn of a new kind of human being altogether. The Übermensch is characterized not by physical strength or supernatural abilities, but by an extraordinary capacity to forge their own values and construct their personal moral framework. This figure does not rely on external dogmas, religious authorities, or celestial mandates to discover meaning and purpose in life. Instead, the Übermensch looks inward, engaging in profound introspection and self-examination to cultivate a meaningful existence. In Nietzsche's vision, this individual rises from the remnants of outdated ideologies and societal norms, transcending conventional morality to embrace a path of self-determined creativity and authenticity. The Übermensch embodies the courage to challenge societal conventions and assert their individuality, taking responsibility for their actions while actively participating in the ongoing process of self-overcoming. Ultimately, Nietzsche's call for the Übermensch invites us to embrace a radical rethinking of our approach to life, urging us to reject passive acquiescence to prescribed values and instead embark on a journey of self-discovery. It is a call to cultivate a rich and dynamic inner world, one where meaning is not handed down, but rather painstakingly crafted through our own aspirations, struggles, and triumphs. This vision encourages us to become architects of our own destiny, aiming not only for personal fulfillment, but also contributing to the evolution of humanity itself in a world that desperately needs new paradigms and perspectives. The concept of the Übermensch, as articulated by Nietzsche, transcends mere notions of power. It is fundamentally about discovering a higher purpose. It challenges us to confront the darkness of existence without hesitation, to stare into the abyss and emerge not only unscathed but empowered. The true essence of the Übermensch lies in shaping a new morality, one that is not constructed out of fear or the shadow of outdated beliefs, but rather forged from the depth of freedom itself. This pursuit demands courage and a profound understanding of one's inner self, as it invites us to move beyond the limitations imposed by society and tradition. In our contemporary lives, it is evident that many people inhabit the very world Nietzsche so presciently described. The traditional beliefs that once acted as our moral compass have begun to erode for a significant number of individuals, leaving behind a fragile landscape. Yet in this void, the specter of nihilism looms large, a void filled with anxiety and moral ambiguity that threatens to engulf us. We are compelled to reflect on this reality. Have we successfully filled the existential vacuum left by these waning beliefs? Or do we find ourselves wandering still, lost within the disorienting darkness that surrounds us? Nietzsche's admonition isn't the final word. Rather, it is a profound beginning, an urgent call to redefine the meaning of life on our own terms. In the wake of the death of the traditional deities that once provided us guidance, we are presented with a unique opportunity to become the architects of our own significance and creators of meaning. This transition demands that we shed the shackles of dogmatic thinking and take responsibility for our own moral and existential frameworks. It requires us to embrace the artistic endeavor of living, crafting lives that reflect our individual values and desires. As we stand in the silence left behind by the demise of outdated belief systems, the question remains, can we rise to the occasion and become the spark that ignites a new and illuminating path forward? In this juncture of change, we have the potential to forge connections, create new paradigms, and ultimately transform both ourselves and the world around us. It is in this creative act that we can discover a profound sense of purpose and direction amidst uncertainty. If this exploration has sparked your thoughts, share it to foster deeper discussions. Subscribe for more insightful journeys into philosophy as we unravel the complexities of thought and existence together.